Well, let's get some analysis on the situation in Lebanon with Sami Atallah, who is director of the Policy Initiative think tank in Beirut. Sami, thanks so much for joining us on the program here on Paris Direct. So we've had the US's top diplomat be in London today holding talks with the Lebanese Prime Minister. Blinken has said that we have an urgency to get a diplomatic resolution in the conflict. Are we going to get that anytime soon, do you think?
Look, thank you for having me. In order to have a ceasefire, there are two things, or one of two things must happen. Either the international community, and particularly the United States, put pressure on Israel to stop its aggression on Lebanon, because Hezbollah already accepted a ceasefire a couple of weeks ago, or the battlefield in the south will determine when will both parties, Hezbollah and Israel, decide to end the fighting, and that's going to be bloody and will take a long time. So, for that to avoid further destruction and to avoid further loss of lives, it's really urgent and important for the international community, including the EU, France, US, UK, to stop arming Israel, to pressure it for the ceasefire, because they're not interested in a ceasefire. The Israeli government wants to have this war. It's been planning for that war. It even said that since 2006. So for that to end, I think international pressure is the quickest way to end the misery across the border for both parties, for Lebanon and for Israel.
So that's the international side of things. Sami, you're in Beirut. How have you been coping with everything that's going on?
Oh, it's been very difficult, and frankly, it's catastrophic. The impact of the war on Lebanon, we've got, as you probably know, 2,500 people already died, 12,000 injured. We're trying to cope in this in so many ways, but really the misery out there in Beirut, in the capital, you see we have 1.2 million people displaced, and a good number of them, approximately 500,000 in Beirut, and the rest distributed across the country. We've seen in images of villages flattened in the south, literally flattened. Three villages, Maisa Jabal, Blidam, Haibe, whereby 270 buildings, or 269 to be accurate, have been totally demolished, which means people cannot go back home, even if the war ends today. So you see the misery and you see the impact is going to be huge. Already is huge on Lebanon, and it will be huge in the foreseeable future. So we really need an urgent ceasefire for this, for people to actually go back to their lives. And also, I mean, in addition to the damages on villages, we also know that 100 primary healthcare centers are out of service as a result of Israelis' aggression. We know 500,000 students can't go to school now. So we see a lot of that is actually going to affect the day-to-day lives of people here in terms of access to basic things like education and health. And even recently, a new report shows that 70% of the people in Lebanon have difficulty accessing water. So this is something that is urgent. And what we're seeing, the type of aggression we're seeing from the Israelis, and particularly in the south, it looks like very much like Gaza. A sort of a mini Gaza, where a total destruction of towns. And this is very not only damaging and serious, this has strong implications for the future, as Israel's policy seems not only wants to attack Hezbollah and destroy it, but it wants to destroy and depopulate the south of Lebanon from its citizens and residents. And I think, this is just totally unacceptable, and we can't just sit there and let this happen, or just throw a few words about having a ceasefire. We need to take a serious action about the ceasefire, as I said earlier.
Yeah, we saw in those images